All right, a new day and of course a new week right here in the Konle Amzat studio. I say good morning to you and you're welcome to another edition of the Dailies for this week and of course for Monday, the first day of the week. My name is Wuraola Yusuff and it is the norm I'll be taking you through the front pages of our daily newspapers. After which, our unbiased analyst in the studio, that is the great Maestro, will be letting us know how the stories, how they affect or concern us as Nigerians, because there is nothing we can do about that. These stories, in one way or the other, they're surely coming back to us because we are the ones here. Whether living in Nigeria or not, we are still Nigerians. And yes, I'll be starting from the Guardian newspaper this morning. Where's the story on the issue of a revenue expenditure mismatch says states may sack 600,000 employees to implement minimum wage. All right, President Tinubu begins a new mandate and ECOWAS tasked to return breakaway states. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. On page 5 on the issue of student loan, 115 state-owned institutions yet to submit enrollees data. NDLEA arrests couple recovers 2.1 billion naira worth of drugs in Lagos raid. NLC insists on 250,000 naira, vows to reject federal government 62,000 naira minimum wage. Page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Petrol scarcity lingers in Abuja. Queues resurface in states. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. ICPC intercept 10 billion naira of COVID-19 fund in MDA account. 100 million naira in personal accounts. Alright, moving on, concerns are socio-economic pressure, heightened suicide missions among youth. Quite a serious one that will need to be discussed this morning. That is on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on to the Nation newspaper, EFCC ask Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria to watch list Bello. Page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Now Fund opens portal for state-owned varsity students. Page 6 of the Nation newspaper today. And of course, ECOWAS re-elects President Tinubu and mobilizes for standby force. The writer to that story says Faye, and also we're talking about other countries like Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso on the Union of Sahel. And moving on, 4 banks open bid to raise 1 trillion naira from capital market. To writers to the story, the first one says CBN projects resilient financial institutions. The second one, what 2004 consolidation achieved by Soludo. Again in the news, 3,000 fake graduates the face prosecution. The writer to the story says probe of degree racketeering in foreign varsities completed. Alright, now to the Daily Trust newspaper. We have the story saying why fuel queues persist, spread by marketers. A couple of writers to that. The first one says pump price hits 800 naira in Kano. Others. The second one says black marketers sell at over 1,000 naira. Report on Samoa agreement. Our position. Whose position? That story is on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper, and we shall know this morning. Federal government exempts Jankos, Discos, others from withholding tax. Page 40 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Finally, now to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper on page 3. How insurgency, banditry worsen food prices. Quite a lot of writers to that one on the issue of bandits chasing away farmers, imposing tax in Kaduna. Also, cattle rustling rampant. Farmers abandon lands in Plateau, Niger, Benue, Sokoto. Cultivation of rice, beans, onions, millet, watermelon, tomatoes, Guinea corn are mostly affected in Plateau, Benue, others. We will take decisive steps against destructive herdsmen. That one is coming from Ekiti Governor. What security forces are doing. That one is an explanation coming from the police. Also, we have the issue of the Nasu Sanu saying they are to begin nationwide protest July 18 on the issue of their 4-month withhold the salaries. That one is on page 30. Page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune, gunmen abduct 2 journalists, family members in Kaduna. Right after the story says NUJ condemns abduction. Alright, CJN to swear in 12 as FCT High Court judges July 10, page 28. On the issue of student loan on page 25, we have received data from only state-owned tertiary institutions. Alright, the stories alongside many more are what we have this morning, and we shall be discussing them, how they concern us, with of course a Maestro in the studio. Good morning, Maestro. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Yes, I hope you had a great weekend.
We thank God for His mercies.
All right, we are back again to talk about no other thing, no other place than Nigeria, because I mean that's what we can do. All right, I'm not sure if we should take it from the angle of petrol this morning, or we should go straight into how insurgency, banditry, wars, and food prices. I think I'd like to pick it from that place. That is in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. This issue, it is not new to us. We have been discussing this for quite a while. I mean, this is obvious to everyone to know the issues we are having concerning food prices. This is affecting everybody. Yes. When you go to the market today, the price you meet today is not what you will meet tomorrow. And it is saddening because the money that is coming to your pocket remains almost the same. So
it remains the same.
It remains the same. So
in certain instances, it's even dwindling.
Imagine.
So it's a very dire situation for Nigerians.
And now we have to talk about where the food is coming from.
That's what we have been talking about for a long time. You see, we are differently given. We're differently gifted. So some people are going to look at the situation right away, right now, what's happening to them. While some other people are going to be looking at tomorrow. Some people will be looking at the day after tomorrow and so on. While some people will be looking far into the future. The consequences of what's happened in the past and what's happening right now. And that's why people talk about visionary leadership. Now, if you are in leadership and I'm talking about leadership generally. If you are in leadership and you don't have that vision which sees far into the future, at least reasonably far into the future, then you are not supposed to be in front of the people, because that's where leaders stand at the head. And what you are doing is you're blocking the sunlight. You're blocking everybody's vision. So you're an unnecessary weight on the head of the people. And that's what we've experienced in leadership positions in this country for a long time. We have been talking about the farmer, his situation on the farms. You know, small, medium, big, none is exempted from the onslaught of these marauders, you know, constantly. And we knew for a long time that if we don't pay serious attention to these farms, we are going to suffer heavy consequences into the future.
I mean, we are already.
The future is here. You know, the future is here, and that's why I was excited when this administration, early in its life, was talking about food security. You know, all the arms of security coming together, you know, as one, seeing everything together. Because really, people often talk about food security. We talk about security, and then we talk about job security. And all these things are related. And when you treat them together, you are treating a sizable portion of your economy, you know, a critical part of your economy. And we failed in that regard for a very long time. The consequences are biting hard right now. Because you see, when you have a farmer that has half an acre, for instance, and farms consistently, is contributing seriously to the economy. A lot of people will be taking the farm produce or whatever he's produce and be satisfied. They pay a little, it takes a little, they take some, they go. And when you have thousands of them all over the place farming in peace, you might not be talking of, this, spiraling cost of food items and so on. But that's precisely where we are right now. And it's not just because the rain started late. It's majorly because leadership has failed in that regard. We failed because we are playing politics. Some people will stand up, for these criminals when they start storming the farms. They will stand up for them in the full glare of the whole world and say they are supposed to be in.
They're on their right.
Yes, they say they could occupy they could go to anywhere in the country, and so on and so forth. Now, these same people are the ones now saying, the food scarcity is biting hard. It's the fault of the federal government and so on. Yes, it's the fault of the federal government, but sometimes you forget that you are federal government because you belong to another party today, but you were of the same political party yesterday, and the day before then you belong to the same political class.
So almost the same.
But they find it very easy now to simply pop up because they know that some people will be gullible enough to swallow whatever they are throwing at us. So all of them together, for as long as they have been in these positions, have failed us. That's the point. Because I don't know why we could not have something specific for the farms. And I'm not just talking about the federal government alone. They carry the major part of the blame because the state governments don't have troops. They don't have security outfits until we shouted ourselves hoarse, asking for some kind of, security, and then we were able to just scrape Amotekun out of, the whole deal and see what they give Amotekun, to arm. It's serious. It's the kind of arms that at some point in this country, we also stood up to the government to say, look, take this Jagamu away from our policemen, because they are no longer good. And that's why they decide, okay, so all the arms that they were using them are the ones they are passing on to NSCDC, passing on to Amotekun and so on. Why is it that when you want to secure our lives, the worst arms possible will be fine? But when you want to secure your own lives, the best possible will be the ones you use. So it's a dysfunctional system.
When we are all Nigerians.
They even split our police into two. And they are using half for themselves, for their wives, for their children. When you see their children moving around, they are moving around heavily guarded. So when you have about under 400,000, policemen, they take about 200,000 for themselves. And they're not up to 2% of the population. The rest of us will have to make do with the remaining half. And of course, you know what the consequences are. Part of the consequences of that are the farms where the farmers have been sacked.
All right, Maestro, we have two particular issues on this. The reasons for this. The first one is about the banditry. These people coming to chase away farmers and even going as far as imposing tax on them. You have to pay us this amount. And on the other hand, we have the issue of cows coming into the farms to eat produce when they are ready to be harvested. These 2 points are what we have to discuss now. And also, we have the side of the security agencies talking about what they've been doing or what they can actually do about the issue. But let's go pay some bills. While we're back, we'll continue the conversation and pick it up from those sides. We'll be back.
88.7 FM.
My baby is 6 months old.
Oh my! 6 months old? Wow! Now your baby needs more than breast milk. It's time to introduce mashed meals. In addition to breast milk, begin to give your baby mashed meals that contain at least one item from each of these 5 food groups: eggs, fish or meat, fruits and vegetables, oils, beans, groundnuts, soya or millet, rice, potato, maize or yam from 6 months. In addition to breast milk, your baby needs this combination of food types to grow healthy. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
Adájọ́ ọjọ́ pé adágbà ìgbákò ààfin Olúbàdàn lẹ̀bàdàn ó di ṣíṣí ẹ̀dámúso. Ká dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Elédùà tó ṣọlá èyí fún wa nílẹ̀ Ìbàdàn. Ìdí nìyí tí àgbáríjọpọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ gbogbo ọmọ bíbí ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn Central Council of Ibadan Indigenes tó fi mọ́ ìgbìmọ̀ àwọn olóyè Olúbàdàn in council ṣe ń pe tolórí tẹlẹ̀mù nílẹ̀ Ìbàdàn àti ilé àtọkọ tó fi mẹ́yìn odi láti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní Wednesday ọjọ́ 10 oṣù keje ọdún yìí July 10 láti ṣí ààfin Olúbàdàn ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn tuntun àràgbá yamuyamu tó lé téńté sókè àrẹ̀mọ nílùú Ìbàdàn. Gbogbo lóko lókì sankosanko kànrìnkànrìn láwùjọ ni ó wà ń bẹ̀ nígbà tí a bá ń ṣàfihàn Olúbàdàn ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn. Onísábàbí rẹ̀ gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ His Excellency Engineer Olúwaṣeyì Abíọ́dún Mákindé lẹ́ni àyẹ́sí pàtàkì tí ó tún bá wa ṣí. Aṣíwájú Bọ̀dé Àmọ́ lálága ayẹyẹ olóyè Báyọ̀ Oyèrò wà ń kalẹ̀ àtàwọn kànrìnkànrìn tá a lè kà tán. Ààrẹ CCII olóyè amòfin Suleiman Ajéníyì Ajéwọlé ni ó máa gba gbogbo wa lálejò. Ààfin Olúbàdàn ó di ṣíṣí kágbádé wọlé lókù.
Àbẹ́ ò rí nǹkan ẹ̀bùn pàtàkì látọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run lọ́mọ jẹ́ fáwọn òbí tómi ọyàn sì jẹ́ ẹ̀bùn Ọlọ́run fáwọn ọmọ. Ó ní gbogbo èròjà aṣaralóore pẹ̀lú omi tọ́mọ rẹ nílò. Fún oṣù 6 àkọ́kọ́ máa fọ́mọ rẹ ní ọyàn nìkan. Rántí o, omi ọyàn nìkan fún oṣù 6 àkọ́kọ́. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkọ́ṣeṣẹ́ ANRIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Àrùn kọ́lẹ́rà kì í ṣàlùjọ̀nù o, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kì í ṣàfiṣe. Àwa ara wa ìlà ń kọ̀wé sí kọ́lẹ́rà. Akọ́lé ànílé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀, kò síbi tá a lè dalẹ̀ sí, kò sí ní tá a lè kìbọnù. Ẹ̀yin aráàlú, ìmọ́tótó nílé kọ́lẹ́rà àlùgbẹ́, ẹ jẹ́ á mójútó ara wa. Ìkéde yìí wá láti iléeṣẹ́ rédíò Àgídìgbo 88.7 FM Ìbàdàn.
Ìmọ́tótó ilé, ìmọ́tótó oúnjẹ, ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Àgídìgbo 88.7 FM.
All right, we're back, and before we went on that break, we were discussing food security, and we're trying to bring in different perspectives, talking about the banditry perspective, and also talking about invasion of farms by herders, talking about cows that eat farm produce when they are ready to be harvested. So, Maestro, we're about to make a point on those things.
You know, the deal is we're an unserious lot, sincerely, because we keep calling for, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's have a public hearing, as if we don't know what is going on. A man has a farm, and you come from nowhere, you run your cattle into his farm and destroy it. And in this country, in 2024,
we want to sit down and talk about it.
Let's sit down and talk about it. The only reason we're sitting down and talking about it is because the backers of these cattle herders are powerful people in the country who could, pervert the cause of justice. They could, and they do that, by sheer virtue of, their positions and their entrenched positions. So we should be talking about something else entirely. We should be talking about how do we turn thousands of square kilometers into farmlands. That's where we should be. That's the conversation we should be having.
But what are we doing with the ones we
we have the land. We have the climate. We have everything that we could do this with. But people have already, a lot of people have left the farms. We should be talking about how do we re-engineer the society such that the youth will want to go to the farm. Because it is possible. One of the problems we are having today is that the youth, before anything, they want to go to the urban centers. They want to go and see how they could make a lot of money and be able to throw money around and all that. That's the burning dream of the youth. The farthest thing on his mind is his father's village. He doesn't want to go there. In any case, his grandfather is no longer in the village. So his grandmother is not there. There's nobody there that he wants to go and even visit. So what's happening to the villages? The Omoniles are taking over the villages. They will take it over and begin to cut and sell. And, you have that. That's another pathetic story entirely, to fight and take other people's lands. And you have a space right inside the country, inside our system, where you could do that and get away with it. So I really want to sum everything up because we have talked about all the components over the years, and it's a vicious cycle. So what we should be doing now is to be packing all our energies behind restructuring. When some people hear that, unfortunately, they don't even understand what it means. Some people understand what it means. They are so defeatist about it. But we have resolved that, whatever amount of little, big energy that we could muster, because we know that's the solution. If we look at it today, you just read it. The governor of Ekiti State is saying we are going to go tough.
Exactly.
Okay. So I don't know why he's saying it. The reason he's saying it is because when Dr. Fayose was there, he only said one word and everybody scampered away. He made a law. The law is still there. But when another governor came whose political dimensions were different from that of Fayose, and that's...
They lost the continuity in government.
Yes. He said, okay, we are not doing it the way Fayose did it. And he dismantled the security system that Fayose installed against, that thing. And so they flooded back and started attacking farmers again. And that's why you're hearing, they killed this monarch in Ekiti. They kidnapped that other monarch in Ekiti. And so on. It wasn't happening when Fayose was there. Because when he read the Riot Act, they knew that he was serious. He had cattle. I think he announced that time that he had about 200, heads. And he told his headers, don't try me. Because if you do it, I'll make you a scapegoat first. So, and those ones, they headed, because you see, most of the cattle in the southern parts of the country, they largely don't belong to the headers. They belong to the big people in our own society. They belong to obas and chiefs, and judges and top policemen and so on and so forth. They belong to them because these people, they play a game. When you become powerful, they give you some cows and tell you they will help you to manage everything. So they begin to use your position and power to protect themselves when they do wrong things. Besides, the central police system is also a protection for them. I'm talking seriously. I'm concentrating on the problem in the southwest, because that's where I see everything. Now up north, we see a little there, and they are fighting for different reasons. But when we want to become reductionist about this conversation, then we start talking about it's pastoralists against these agrarians and so on. It's not true. And the way we settle this thing once and for all is for us to restructure the system and fall back to the zones. So when you make a law, for instance, in Oyo State now.
A second, Maestro.
It's 7 a.m. on Agidigbo 88.7 FM.
All right.
When you make a law in Oyo State now against open grazing, what happens? Open grazing continues. Why? There are no troops here to back the law.
Implementation.
To enforce the law. And the central police system that is supposed to enforce it will not enforce it.
Why?
Because it's your central system. It's dysfunctional. So the guy who is going to promote whoever is here, who is going to send down somebody say, go and become the commissioner of police in that place. Okay, become the assistant commissioner, become this and that. That's central power. It's not state power. It's not the same state system that is going to do that. So when you get to your duty post or your sinecure, what you do is you remember where they sent you from, not the Constitution. Even if the Constitution says, compels you to enforce the law made by the State House of Assembly, you ignore it. That is when you now see big policemen and chiefs and governors and everybody saying, let's call peace meeting because these marauders, they have stormed the farm there and they killed somebody.
On what we know is wrong.
Yes. But
on what we know should not be.
Yeah, we sit down and we are talking about it. And that's what they want to do at the national level. Okay, the National Assembly now saying, let's sit down and talk about this thing as if it's just happening to us.
All right. Among the talks from Ekiti state government is also the fact that we need these obas, these traditional rulers. We need them because in one way or the other, they are closer to the people and they can help with enforcing the law, particularly talking to herders that invade the farms. But how well do we think these traditional rulers? I mean, talking about what we've been saying concerning the constitution, traditional rulers curtailing their powers and all that. Now, do we think they can do the job? Can they actually do the job?
I don't know if we should even be talking about the role of traditional rulers and so on and so forth, seeing that the traditional ruler in whatever domain is as influential as the governor allows. Is it not the truth? You are only as influential as the governor allows you to be. So what do you want to use the traditional ruler for? Did Fayose use the traditional rulers when he was going to put his foot down in Ekiti State to say you cannot go on storming the farms and spreading violence on the farms? He didn't call on any traditional ruler. He went to the State House of Assembly. A law was made, and he ensured that despite the central police system, that law will be enforced. And they left Ekiti State alone for as long as Fayose was there.
How many governors can do that right now?
Well, I can only talk about the one who did it. And we must also give kudos to those who stood up, at different measures. The late Governor Akeredolu did that. And it became a national argument. I remember, I think Governor Bala from Bauchi saying, all those people, they have the right to remain in Ondo forests, which was so wrong. And late Governor Akeredolu stood up, said, no way, this thing is not going to continue. And he was at the forefront, alongside Governor Seyi Makinde, at the forefront of ensuring that Amotekun came alive. So we have to always remember that they did what they could within the circumstances in measures.
All right. Let us move on from that now to another serious conversation, because as at this morning, there are news again that there may be fuel scarcity. There has been in some states, talking about Abuja and other states and also Lagos now, where we have started seeing queues again. What is going on?
It doesn't bother me.
This is a recurring issue.
It does not bother me at all. This administration has its job cut out for it. It's either you are going to allow these people to break your back, make the economy more difficult for Nigerians under your watch, or you will stand up against them at this point and say, this is what I'm prepared to take.
Against who?
Because look, we have been talking about these things. You heard Dangote, you heard everybody talking about it. So we should stop saying against who. We already know them. We know the IOCs, we know the independent marketers, we know people who are feeling that at some point, as soon as Dangote comes on stream and this thing starts getting out, that pump prices will crash.
They know.
And I believe they are fighting back. I believe all these things we are witnessing is not because there is scarcity. It's because there is artificial scarcity. They are the ones bringing these things about. And if this government is going to just pretend that, it's the dynamics of our economy happening and so on and so forth, what's my business with that? So let everything take its course then. But if you are going to, remember I said it, before the Oshiomhole, Senator Oshiomhole and so on started speaking up. Before they started speaking up, I told you here that this government must be the spine of Dangote. They have to offer him the spine. They have to stand behind him. They have to do whatever it takes to ensure that these people don't go on. Look, Adams Oshiomhole is a senator. And he stood in the National Assembly and he told us that we have enough diesel inside of this country. We are producing enough diesel inside of this country. They are sabotaging that so that the cost of diesel will remain where it is or even get worse. He told us that there are people who are Nigerians, who are proxies for these IOCs, who are just throwing out approvers. Approvers for what? For bad, for low quality, crude coming in. Everything is just in disarray. And you as federal government, at some point, you have to breathe down the necks of these people. You have to confront them. If you have to play diplomacy around it and so on, do whatever it takes. Because it has come to brass tacks. This is the point where you put your foot down. That look, Dangote has to come on, and it has to come on very well. It's not going to struggle. Because if it struggles, you know the political consequences of Dangote struggling at this point. So let's forget about every other thing and ensure if you brought Dangote along this far. Look, it's not even Dangote. We are just saying Dangote. The federal government of this country has 20% in that refinery. So it's our own.
It is ours.
And so who is that Nigerian or that foreigner who is going to fight us, and win and get away with it and leave us in penury? I don't believe we should be having this kind of conversation. I believe at this point, the federal government should have bared its fangs. That if you are going to play this, I know that these people are very powerful. They practically have been ruining and running Nigeria for a very long time. And they have exclusive focus on their own profit. They don't care if half of us perish. The only song they have is their own profit. Their profit margin is the only thing they care about. And that has to be busted at this point. We're not even saying they shouldn't have profit. We're saying we also have the right to live, to exist.
Make things better for us.
So it depends on what this government wants, as far as I am concerned.
All right. Considering how the situation is going, we can see it is clear that these IOCs, they are extremely powerful. Do you think with the way we are going, the federal government, alongside Dangote, can actually win against them? Is it possible?
What is stopping the federal government on this soil is the most powerful. It is the most powerful element on this soil.
On this soil.
I'm most aware of the powers of the foreign economies that are messing with us. I understand that very well. But I'm saying that in issues like this, the federal government could do whatever it wants in this kind of situation. Yes, maybe you take some consequences, because part of the consequences might be that they ensure that you don't return.
The government.
Yes. Yes, they could make sure that, because look, these people ensure that whoever they want in office is the one that ends up in office. And if for some reasons whoever they don't want ends up in office, then you have a lot of crisis.
They frustrate them.
They ensure that in the past they simply kill them, like they killed Patrice Lumumba, like they killed Thomas Sankara. All over. You can go and check. It's a long list of, and then CIA is releasing some of the things they did, classified information about where they changed governments, where they changed heads of state and so on. The Pinochets, and they did these things around the world. Now they have upgraded because they couldn't be as crude as they used to be. So we understand these things. But at some point, what then are you going to be doing in government if you have a way of making life easier for your people, and then some interest somewhere are saying, no, you can't make life easier for your people in this instance. You have to keep running the old order because it benefits us. I think at some point, somebody, no matter how how much you're willing to play ball with these people. At some point, I think, you have to stand for something, sincerely. And I think this administration, I still believe, will offer that spine to Dangote, will not leave Dangote to be floundering, so that these people could gain, and the rest of us could lose collectively. As
a government that is still in its fourth term, I mean, you're still trying to come back to ask for a second term in one way or the other.
Well, you know what? Then this president does not talk much. I think he does what he wants to do. Somewhere in there, reach out to people he wants to reach out to, get his own results in his way. He doesn't talk much, like that. So that's why I'm still believing that, this Dangote thing will be victory for Nigerians at the pump price, because that's where we are waiting.
We need
for things to ease up. And you know that when it eases up, because it's a big battle, really. Don't let's trivialize it. When things ease up like that, it is then going to affect our economy.
In a positive or negative way?
Positive.
All right.
When it affects the economy, it's going to affect the exchange rate. It will come down. When that happens, it means we could do something about our economy to ease up things. And they don't want that. They don't want that because Nigeria is strategic to their plans. And their own plans too, they plan for profit. They plan, to be harvesting Nigeria far into the century. So you cannot afford to be getting things right, and they will ensure that they mess up whatever you got right. I mean, Obasanjo was able to scrounge, a clean bill of health for our debt profile. Not a couple was left there. One way or the other, he dealt, he threw away Bakassi Peninsula, he did a lot of things and got that, because we've been carrying that debt profile for decades. And he was able to get that. They ensured that we did not enjoy that for 1 decade. In 10 years, look at our debt profile today. From $30 billion fully paid. I mean, they said, okay, we will forgive part, you pay the rest, and you now have a clean slate. They went to work. Today, we are owing like ×4 of what we used to owe. And you see, when you are in that situation, your circumstances could only get worse, because you don't have the kind of stability to run a government, to even say, okay, what is the next thing to do in line of progress. And that unbalance is what they inflict us with, and they sustain it. It's a program. But you see, while I'm not giving it to everybody that you could handle the program, I think at a time like this, a president should be able to look at the scenario and say, this is one thing I'm going to win. And that is this pump price battle,
which will change almost everything.
That the Dangote effect could bring to us.
All right, Maestro, you keep mentioning them. I mean, I believe that Nigeria is an independent nation. Is this how it is happening in other independent countries?
Everywhere in life,
interference.
Everywhere in life, you have interference. You have, you have positive, you have negative, conflicting everywhere. Okay, let me mention anyone. Look at the American situation. Is that the one you want? I can give you there. Aren't you tracking it? Look at the Democrats. Look at the Republicans. Look at the independents. Everywhere in the world, I think Americans have the worst day. They and us.
All right. I mean, because for every Nigerian now, you think, I mean,
we are independent. If you go to UK, it's the same thing. And there's no theory they didn't spin around Rishi Sunak. And they got rid of him as soon as they could. As soon as they could, he's gone. And now somebody who looks like them, enough is there Now,
Everywhere
you have
this is actually this is a very long talk, and we have to go pay some bills now. When we're back, we'll continue the conversation in the studio. Of course, there are a lot of things to talk about now. Talking about COVID-19 fund. All right, we'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí aláboyún, ó ṣe pàtàkì kí n tọ́jú ara mi kí n sì wà ní ìlera pípé.
Kí ìwọ àtoyún inú ẹ lè wà nílera tó péye, máa lo oògùn ẹ̀jẹ̀ tó ní áyọ̀nù nínú àti folic acid lójoojúmọ́ lákòókò tó bá lóyún. Eléyìí ń dènà àìtó ẹ̀jẹ̀ nínú oyún, yóò sì jẹ́ kóyún wà lálàáfíà. Fún ìlera pípé, ẹ máa yọjú sí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ìlera yín fún ìtọ́jú oyún nígbà tó yẹ. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣeṣẹ́ ANRIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Nígbà àwọn àṣà ò mọyì àṣà ló jẹ́ káṣà òfófẹ́ rẹ̀ kó gbé wọn láṣà lọ. Kí tiwa má bàa rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ló mú ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ lábẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ àṣà òun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ ogunlọ́gọ̀ èèyàn lágbàáyé láti ṣọdún eégún tọdún ní Àràbà Ifáyẹmí Ẹlẹ́bùúbọn ládéjò pàtàkì tí wọ́n sì tún máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ àpilẹ̀kọ Olúbàdàn tilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn Aláyélúwà ọba Akínlóye Owólabí Ìyàndá Ọlákùlẹ́yìn àtàwọn ìgbìmọ̀ wọn lórí adéǹkàlẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ náà gómìnà Olúwaṣèyí Abíọ́dún Mákindé lẹ́ni àyẹ́sí pàtàkì olùgbàlejò àgbà ní igbákejì gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ amòfin Báyọ̀ Làwà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kọmíṣánná fún àṣà òun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ ọ̀mọ̀wé Wàsíù Adéwálé Ọlátúnbọ̀sún àti aṣòfin Bísí Olúrántí Michael ni wọ́n jọ gbà wá lálejò lọ́jọ́ 11 oṣù keje láago 11 lẹ́tò gbogbo bẹ̀rẹ̀ àbáwọlé sí pápá àṣírí Adámàsìngbà tó kọjú sí recreation club níbi tá a bá wọlé síbi ayẹyẹ ẹ wá wo oríṣiríṣi eégún oníjó àti eégún onídán pẹ̀lú àwọn onífújì lóníranran àmàlà àtàbùlà ló ń jẹ níbi ayẹyẹ àṣà ní ṣàfihàn ràn ìmúra rẹ tó ṣàfihàn rẹ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ojúlówó ọmọ Yorùbá ló fi wọlé síbi ayẹyẹ ìwọ náà wá wò ó sì di pàṣà wa tó rà lẹ́gbàá ọ̀kẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ àṣà òun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló ń kéde o.
I am pregnant. It is important for me to take care of myself and stay healthy.
To be strong and have a healthy pregnancy, take iron and folic acid tablets every day when you're pregnant. This prevents anemia and helps maintain a healthy pregnancy. Visit your healthcare provider for regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Ọwọ́ èmi àti ẹ lọ̀rọ̀ wà láti dáàbò bo ara wa lọ́wọ́ àrùn kọ́lẹ́rà. Ẹ jẹ́ á ṣèmọ́tótó àyíká wa ká sì máa dáàbò bo oúnjẹ wa lọ́wọ́ kòkòrò àrùn. Ìkéde yìí wá láti iléeṣẹ́ rédíò Àgídìgbò 88.7 FM Ìbàdàn.
Ìmọ́tótó ilé, ìmọ́tótó oúnjẹ, ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, Maestro, I agree that what you said concerning the fact that there is interference everywhere. But as an independent nation, you should be able to manage the interference. If it is positive, okay, we want this, we welcome it. If it is something that is negative, as an independent nation, you should be able to just, oh no, hold this back. Is it not possible?
Okay, you see, that's how logic would put it. But you see, they determine how to even invade your independence from the beginning. It's a very big program. That's why some people are even saying the entire, humanity is a matrix, is some kind of, video game kind of program with some people up there, but that's another thing entirely. What if from the beginning you are not even getting any independence, that it is false from the beginning that, okay, take your independence? And I'm asking myself all the time, who's giving who independence? You depended on me. You come to Africa, you're taking, and the lies are so many. When they want to write history, they deliberately within the program begin to falsify, history. How does Europe, that was not in existence when there was Kemet, and that's the name they called Africa. That's what Africa was called. And they didn't call it that.
Kemet.
Yes. You either call Africa Kemet or Ethiopia. But they are the ones who coined Africa. They are the ones who brought Egypt. So, and they were not in existence for thousands of years. That Kemet was in existence. There was no Europe at all. But Europe surfaced somewhere down the line, and Europe began rewriting history from their libraries. And then okay, so let's even leave that because it's in another realm. But what I'm saying is, if you depended on me and you took my crude oil, you took my resources generally for a long time, and we got to a point, you depended on me, you took all those things to go and develop your own, what they call industrialization. They did not use the resources inside their own country to industrialize Europe. They took from all over the world. Have you heard about the partitioning of Africa? The scramble? You know, it's there, though they also falsified the history to a large extent. But you could pick these things. But okay, in modernity, in these modern times, somebody who wants you to be independent, to be sovereign, says, okay, he brings this idea of globalization. And inside that globalization that he scripted, that he knows best how to execute, he begins to tell you how you're going to run your economies. So he has a broad principle about how you will run your economy as sovereign states. You know, are you still sovereign? Do you sound like sovereign? Do you sound like independent? So this globalization is where they talk about protectionism. They are the ones with all those. So when you want to protect yourself, they say that's a fault because you are engaging in protectionism. But when they want to defend themselves, their lifestyle and everything, they call it the American exceptionalism. So they keep turning you, binding and loosening you until you get dizzy.
At their own will.
And these are the things that some African strong minds, you know, over the time, I wanted to say, look, we're not going to take this. And they killed them in their tents. Go and check, you know, the history, especially the strategic positions around Africa. Whether it is the Anwar Sadats in Egypt and everything, they just killed them.
So our leaders now are going easy.
So if you want to look at the DRC, the Patrice Lumumbas, they wasted them. If you come to Nigeria, coup d'etat upon coup d'etat, and they are the ones who trained all these coup d'etat.
The military men.
Yes, they trained them. And then they didn't only train them, they also take them away. They would take them to Aldershot. They would take them away to Mons. They would take them away to their...
To teach them things.
So they already indoctrinated them. They already had handlers. You know, and that's my hunch. And so when they come back, they could easily talk to them about regime changes. You know, so that tells you in a nutshell that when you say independent or when you say sovereign, there really is nothing like that. And that is why the Chinese will not take all this nonsense. The Russians will not take it because they understand the game. That this idea of this American exceptionalism has no limits. It does not have bounds. I'm looking at some people jumping around, especially Africans jumping around. They're voting Starmer into office. I'm going to vote Labour into, you know, it's really funny. Because when you sit down to look at what's going on in that place, it does not concern you as a black person from this place. They have no plans for you. Whatever plans they have for your home bases remain constant. Whether it is David Cameron, it's Tony Blair, it's Margaret Thatcher, it's down to Liz Truss and Theresa May, Boris Johnson. 10 Downing Street is 10 Downing Street. The things they do there to Africa will remain the things they do forever. So I don't know why people jump around for joy that, okay, one Starmer is replacing, Rishi Sunak and so on and so forth.
Good. All right. Now, Maestro, let us come down to Nigeria here. And that is...
Before we even go, let me just tell you this one again, Wura.
Okay.
You see, because I like talking to your generation a lot.
I know, and we enjoy it too.
Look, there was a time in this country that we wanted to have an election. And John Kerry came to this place and sat down between our president, incumbent. He sat down between the incumbent And the person who will take over sat down between the two of them. Why would you be in that kind of power position? It's a power position which weakens the incumbent and the aspirant.
Whether power or authority.
That look, this is that's how that's the sitting arrangement. And this guy came all the way from America to sit down.
That's that this is the real deal.
Yes, that's the power he has come to assert. And if you don't believe that's the power, so at another point in time, King Charles, before he became king, his mom was still in office, alive. He came to Nigeria, and the Sultan sat by this side, and the Oni sat by this side. It's a constant power posture. That guy in the middle,
we are here,
is the power. So it tells you something about that sovereignty you're talking about.
All right, then. That is not what they taught us in school, talking about sovereignty, power,
and
authority, and independence.
It's all a ruse.
It's quite sad.
It's a ruse.
The phone lines that kept beeping since, but I'm sorry, we need a few more minutes before we go open the phone lines. Let us talk about the COVID-19 fund. I mean, sometimes last week, Maestro talked about the fact that the cholera outbreak, we'll start seeing numbers coming out, and then we'll start seeing money, a lot of it coming out to cushion the effect of whatever cholera.
And a lot of trash talk too.
Yes, and now we have going back to COVID-19 era. Now the said ICPC has intercepted a 10 billion naira of COVID-19 fund in MDA account, and also another 100 million naira in a personal coffer. And now they said about 10 billion naira meant for development of vaccines in a ministry's account long after the pandemic. I mean, that is how many years from now? Among the findings, they saw over 100 million naira budgeted for Wi-Fi and sent to an employee's personal account. Wow. And also, 6 teaching hospitals now, they have refunded 36 million naira unspent COVID-19 intervention fund to government after the pressure from ICPC. How many more do we have?
So didn't I tell you that we ran a scam? It was a national, in fact, it was a global scam.
Wow.
And a lot of people became billionaires and millionaires during the COVID-19.
The pandemic that killed people.
Yes. And don't forget that the lie was in Africa, majorly. In Africa, people were jumping around that they were supplying us with vaccines. Oh, Africa would need this a lot. And they were jumping around.
Because it's Africa.
Yes. As a matter of fact, you know, what's this woman, the wife of Bill Gates who divorced, said they were going to be using barrows to pack dead bodies on the streets of Africa.
That was what she said.
But that was her own thought. But God had a different plan.
It didn't happen like that.
So it didn't happen like that. But they were so sad it didn't happen like that. And so many people were, you know, a lot of money flowing around with a lot of lies powering those funds. And, you know, somehow we passed that stage without asking serious questions. That billions and nobody was dying like that. I mean, if you set it aside, how people were dying in Europe,
it's different.
We should be absolutely grateful to God that it did not hit us like that. There's something in us that God just put there that so, and they've still not been able to explain it till tomorrow. Why did it not hit Africa like that?
Like they presume.
Yes, they are still researching it. But in any case, billions of dollars came to Africa, and governments and powerful people all over the place, they quartered these billions, and this is part of the money. So every time, it makes me really skeptical, apart from the pool of corruption that we live in, not just as government, but as people of this country too. I'm really, really skeptical, so I'm cautious when somebody says, oh, cholera, okay, let's talk sense. Let's be clean. Let's ensure that we do all the things we need to do. people are not even talking about refuse systems.
They started talking about vaccines already.
In this country, you are talking about vaccine before talking about your refuse collection system. It's insane that all over the place, no matter how posh an environment is, you still see it. That our refuse collection system, waste management system is useless. Because where else would the flies even come from?
In the first place.
Mostly, we're talking about Konga. We're talking about, Sokewe and all these things. So, it is what happens. When I'm like that, it's not because I want to spin anything. It's because I understand my country very well. And I know that figures will keep running and funds will follow the figures. And at the end of the day, we will be talking about corruption.
Maestro, let's open the phone lines right now because I'm very sure people can't wait. The phone lines has not rested since. The phone lines to call 0704 1001 887 or +234 704 700 8873. But before then, we have to listen to this.
Thank you for your attention. It's been lovely to have you keeping it locked on Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Now is the time to join in the conversation, to have the word, hear your voice, because we are the people's voice. Meanwhile, while you contribute to this program, kindly note that in accordance with broadcasting ethics, you are requested to keep your contributions modest, truthful, concise, and not offensive, inflammatory, or with tendencies to cause discomfort to anyone. Thank you. Now, let the conversation begin.
Hello, good morning. All right. 07041001 Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, to your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Bodija. My name is Nero.
All right, Mr. Nero, please stay away from your radio set or put it off completely.
Okay, thank you very much. What I have to say is that what we have been talking about is corruption. And we find out that corruption is unrighteousness. Righteousness.
Hello?
That is why I lay every blame on our religious leaders. Our religious leaders have not been putting us in the way of God, but in the way of Satan. By asking people to suffer for money. They are asking people to seek the world. They are not asking people, and they are not leading people in seeking the kingdom of God and His righteousness.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Okay,
sir.
so how did we process the leadership in the religious setting? Because you have to process it. So if you don't back somebody, he would not become, your leader. So if the congregation is applauding that kind of leader, you will throw up more like him.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from.
I'm about R.O. Aditula. Good morning, Mr. Maestro.
Good morning.
God bless you, sir.
Amen.
In Nigeria, if you want to be a leader in Nigeria, you must step on toes. But you need to buckle up. They know these people. Deal with them. Without that, they won't allow you to breathe. Deal with them in the way that, what do we call them? This man deal with them before Rollins in Ghana. God bless Nigeria.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. 0704 1001 887. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Shebon. Minister is talking.
Okay, your contribution, sir.
You are well done. What I want to say is that what concerns me about this thing is that God that created these white people is the one that created us. Why are we doing like this to our people? We black. We don't love our people. We love ourselves only. And when we die, we are not going to heaven with this thing we collect in the earth. We are going freely. Why can't you do good? And we were talking about you. Now this morning, Maestro talking about the governor of Ondo State. what he has done. Why can't? We don't know anything about government. People who will go to government, you read government in university before they go there. They don't know what is government is in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for your contribution. 0704 1001 887 or +234 704 7008 873. Maestro, I mean, they said it's still going on. I mean, they are still trying to track these things where we have over 100 million naira budgeted for Wi-Fi.
It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Account.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
Don't forget that they brought in Chinese doctors in their tents.
We still have that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Wura. Good morning, the Guru Maestro. Good morning, sir.
Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Comrade Dayeni from Oluyole local government.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much. I called the other time and requested for Maestro personal number. You asked me to meet with Wura. But when I got to the office, I discovered that Wura's office is always demanding. And it's not all that around. So please, I don't know how I can get the number.
Okay. I will give a number before we close the program today.
Yes, sir. So please stay tuned.
Thank you very much. Babari Agbe.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. 0704 1001 887. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning, my sister and my brother, Maestro.
Good morning.
The theory who comes to equity must come with clean hand. The present government cannot fight corruption. We all know that. You see, it's not easy. Nigerians are so corrupt to the man. So fighting corruption will be an accolade task for somebody who came in, with dirty hands. There are a lot of things to do. Look at it now. We are fighting over petroleum scarcity again now. The key is everywhere. Don't they know that? Those who are keeping this, they know them. We are fighting insecurity. Don't they know where they are? And you cannot fight those who are creating problems for us. Those who are stolen our commonwealth, you know them. You can't fight them. So you can't fight them because you are not with clean hands. So that is the problem of leadership we have in Nigeria. Except we Nigerians are ready to challenge our leaders. It is there, Nigeria will be okay. In Kenya now, they are fighting their leaders. And they're resisting whatever they are saying. They are ready to die. But we cannot be ready to fight here. So God bless Nigeria. God bless people.
All
right. So we were not talking about fighting corruption. We were talking about this crude oil situation. So the government has the wherewithal to stand up in favor of what belongs to us, which is the Dangote refinery. I've always said it that to run free-flowing government in this country, you need to restructure. So that's the antidote to all those other things that you talk about.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Good Luck from Iworo. Good morning, Maestro, my teacher.
Mr. Good Luck.
Good morning, long time.
Long time. It's nice to have you here.
Thank God. To God be the glory.
Yes.
Maestro, let me know something from you. I want to ask you now, the way Nigeria, they are praising other countries' leader, like Nelson Mandela, like Patrick Lumumba, and the others from Kenya, Ghana, and the rest of other countries. Is it the way they are praising the leaders in Nigeria? Because if we are talking of the corruption, in terms of the Nigerian corruption is more higher than other countries' corruption. That is why we Nigerians are praising them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's a good question. And the reason is, no, they are not praising our leaders as we talk about their own leaders like that, like you said, and you mentioned some people. You see, the reason is conversely, what they do is praise Nigerian spirit generally. They say we are very resilient and that we could, get our goals one way or the other. They meet us all over the world,
no matter what.
But you see, you don't praise Patrice Lumumba because he ran government very well. You praise Patrice Lumumba because he was a martyr. He was killed, by these people. You don't praise Nelson Mandela because he ran government very well or that he did a lot of good things. You praise, Nelson Mandela because he was prison. He stood strong for South Africa, his people, for 27 years in prison, and he would not let go of his ideal. That's why you praise those people. But all over Africa, you have bad governance.
All over Africa.
All over Africa.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello?
My name is Boba Wadiat. I'm calling from Hope.
All right, your contribution to the program.
What?
All right, 0704 1001 887 or +234 704 700 8873. Hello, good morning.
Hello? Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, I am Lawrence from UNIT. Good morning, Maestro, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Lawrence. All my people are popping up this morning. How are you?
Thank you for yesterday. Thank God.
Okay, Lawrence, you're welcome.
It really baffles my mind because we have highly lettered people in the police. Is it that they don't have problem exist any? Because I could remember during the time of Goodluck Jonathan, we were going haywire. Also during the time of Buhari. And I do believe, just like you say, that when you take care of the systems, the attitudinal problem will take care of itself. Because is it that we are really running a country under grand pretense? Because we have the Confab 2014 and also the L5 of the thing. Why is it that when you find yourself in the best thing to do is stop taking? So why is it that we still continue with this style of governance when we really know that our problem is systemic?
All right, you see, I think we are running through what I call progressive degeneration, and it is very, very steady because I have been living through it. And sometimes some younger people will say, "You guys, you enjoyed Nigeria." No, we did not even. The people before me enjoyed Nigeria
more,
and so, but we saw a little bit, and it was even going down as we were born. As we grew up to see things, some nice things, but it kept on going down. So after every, administration, we come back to say, the last one, it better pass this one. And so when this one goes, we say, the last one. For the life of me, I didn't see it coming that some people could, in this country, stand up and say, the Abacha administration was great. In this country, considering everything we went through, and so people even had nostalgia about the IBB government. IBB government that absolutely, destroyed everything, almost everything. And so, but you needed to have felt it. The Shagari administration that was not supposed to even bring hardship at all, the IMF was able to inject austerity measures. That's what they call the zone. When it was the Babangida, Obasanjo, it was low profile. They're always there doing the same things to us. They called the Obasanjo one low profile. They called the Shagari one austerity measure. They called the IBB. They called the zone structural adjustment program. They kept on. Now they don't give the titles anymore. I think they noticed that, okay, we are kind of wising up to their antics.
All right, let's take some comments from the Facebook page right now. From Kazim Olawale, it said, "Please, who is the petroleum minister who removed subsidy without any preparation? As long as those who should tell the truth are pretending, our suffering will continue. No external influence or marketer can do anything. This is how our government wants us to experience it." And also another one coming
the
from
conversation we must note is elevated, than that. We are beyond that.
Femi Ranky says, these them thing is so real. Anywhere you see civil war or internal struggles in a country, it is them. Look at the Middle East and Africa. They won't let us settle down and enjoy our resources. France has the biggest gold reserve in the world, and yet France has 0 gold mining site. If you see Russia and China disagreeing with these them, it is to keep them out. Adexi says the petrol crisis will continue as long as the president and his government fails to do what is right. And can a corrupt leader fight corrupt followers? Nigerians are being misled into wrong hands. All right. And Imbai Menana with the congratulations on parliamentarian election. Well, where it's in Nigeria. Okay. This comment has nothing to do with what we've been discussing in the studio so far. Now we have to go pay some bills. So we're back. We'll continue the conversation. We'll pick some more calls. And then, Maestro, we have a big issue at hand. 143 countries were surveyed concerning the World Happiness Report. Out of 143 countries, Nigeria ranked 102. And then that is when we talk about suicide missions among youths. Maestro, we have to talk about that. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Ó yá gbà ọmọ mi ọ̀wọ́n.
Mami, fi mílìkì sí ni.
Kò di dandan, ìwọ tó wò ná.
Báwo lẹ ṣe ṣe?
Ǹjẹ́ mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye?
Ní gidi gan.
Ṣé ọ̀rá wàrà inú ẹ̀ ṣàn tó?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy nìyẹn o. Mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye. Mi ò nílò láti ṣàfikún mílìkì sí.
Mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ rẹ̀ màámi.
Fún àwọn ọmọ rẹ ní Milo 3-in-1 milky àti creamy tuntun, mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye. Ó kún fún calcium láti ran àwọn ọmọ rẹ lọ́wọ́ láti yege lójoojúmọ́. Milo, agbára láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo mọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Láti dènà àrùn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru àti àrùn mìíràn, pàápàá nínú àwọn ọmọdé, fọ ọwọ́ rẹ pẹ̀lú ọṣẹ àtomi tó ń dà ṣooro. Ní pàtàkì jùlọ, tó o bá lo ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ tán lẹ́yìn tó o bá ti ṣàǹdí fọ́mọ tán kó o tó ṣoúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ tàbí kó o tó fún un lóúnjẹ. Àti pé o, tí ọmọ rẹ bá ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru, fún un ní oògùn oníwóró zinc lẹ́ẹ̀kan lójúmọ́ àti ORS ní wákàtí mẹ́rin tàbí kí ẹ máa fún un díẹ̀díẹ̀ nínú ife. Èyí á jẹ́ kọ́mọ rẹ lè ní ìdápadà omi ara àtokun. Bákan náà, yọjú sílé iṣẹ́ ètò ìlera tó bá súnmọ́ ọ jùlọ láti gba ìtọ́jú fọ́mọ tó ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru.
Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe ARIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Big mommy, add that bokoto we go senior school. Put 2 roundabout. Anoint the package with that slim thick shaki and
Uncle, no vex o. Which teeth you wan use eat all this orishi? That your teeth will be like where motor jam truck. E no dey worry you again.
That one na before. All thanks to the new Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection.
That's right. The new Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection toothpaste gives you complete oral protection with fluoride and antibacterial zinc to keep your teeth strong, prevent tooth holes, and fight bacteria.
Please have to go buy my own new Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection toothpaste.
Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection for your important oral care needs. Available in a blue gel.
Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Mo tiẹ̀ mọ̀ tó kọ́ tí ń pè ń lé.
Ìwọ àti ta wa ni.
Ebi bàbá lè wà ní. Ọwọ́ pé Junior ṣègbọ̀nsẹ̀ sẹ́ẹ̀dẹ̀ ní pariwo bí ẹni tí ń fata rẹ́ǹdì.
Màmá Junior, ó tó bẹ́ẹ̀ o, kí bàbá òun lè yín ó fi gbé ta o. Kọ́lẹ́rà ń jà rìnrìn lásìkò yìí o. Ọ̀gbọ́ròyìn ni wọ́n láwọn èèyàn ti gbẹ̀mí mi láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ kan.
Ṣé kò dé kò sá?
Kò dé kò gin ni. Àtẹ̀kọ́ àtòògùn àtàwọn ìpínlẹ̀ míì ni ti ń jà bí èpè.
Ṣé kọ́lẹ́rà burú bá ń ni?
Ó burú bàjẹ́. Ọ̀gbọ́n tí a ń pè ló ń gbá méjì ni.
Sáàwọ̀ àrógò báyìí.
Àrógò ìmọ́tótó láàfi ṣẹ́gun ẹ̀. Ìmọ́tótó ara, ìmọ́tótó ilé, ìmọ́tótó àyíká àtàdúgbò ṣe pàtàkì lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀. Tá a bá ṣègbọ̀nsẹ̀ ká fọṣẹ fọwọ́ wa, ká sì máa dé oúnjẹ wa, ká má jẹ́ kí ṣinṣin ráàyè fọwọ́ bá a.
Àwọn tí ò wà nílé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ ń kọ́.
Èyí ó ṣe kọ́lé tí ò ní ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀. Àwọn ọ̀daràn nu ẹyẹ tí mo sàn àdàlúrú gbogbo. Iléeṣẹ́ rédíò Àgídìgbò 88.7 FM ló ní ẹ̀já fìmọ́tótó ṣe gbogbo ohun tá a bá ń ṣe.
Àgídìgbò 88.7 FM.
All right, Maestro, this is supposed to be a very long talk, but we do not have so much time to talk about it. Yeah. However, we still have to. We're talking about this generation, the happy, unhappy generation. I don't know if that is a way to put it. Because now this report says, according to WHO, more than 700,000 people die as a result of suicide every year. It is also revealed that it is the 4th leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. Talking about the unhappiness among youth. And also, one of the major reasons is particularly depression. And yes, another disturbing trend is that some of these suicides take place within academic circles.
It's massive, and I think we used to be called one of the happiest people on earth.
Amen.
And we ranked, I think, maybe first or second. I have seen, this thing in the past. Where we dropped this much is interesting. As interesting as how they even got to us being the happiest people on earth. I don't know how research led them to such points, but I will have you know something, that the world is becoming increasingly a very, very unhappy place. Increasingly. But it starts first from being uprooted. There is this cultural uprooting that I talk about often when we have this kind of conversation. You see, the African, we depression wasn't in something that we bothered with
before.
It was not just possible for you to be depressed because of our lifestyle. We lived in communal settings. We had the mini Agbole systems. That's why you found someone to talk to. You found someone a shoulder to cry on. You found help all over the place. As much as we had conflict, we also relied on one another in our system. But this, we've had cultural invasions over time, and these things, took us to this Western setting, Western systems, where we keep on adapting. You see, the inside our system, in our communal, setting, we were not woken up by the alarm bells. It wasn't the alarm bells that woke us up. It was the roosters that woke us up. You heard cock crow. You heard the birds chirping in the morning. You naturally evolved into that waking up. So it was a very fluid kind of system.
But life is more complicated now.
Then we went to the farms. Everything was precise, predictable. We didn't have a lot of anxieties. We went to the farms, routine. And when we returned, you saw Tales by Moonlight and everything happening. We lived. People talk about Ojudioba and so on. It was a year-long thing. It was a year-long thing that, you had a Gungun festival, you had Oro, you had Agemo, it was all year round. And then the weekly things, Ifa and so on, Ose Shongo, Ose this and that. And you kept on hearing music and dancing around, your communities right through, and while we were walking. So all these things are, gone. They're largely being eroded. The African cultural setting being eroded by this, cultural invasion that I, talked to you about. So the adapting is very strenuous, especially in this constant smell of poverty. The reality of poverty is not helping at all. So that's how the eateries came about, the discotheques, what Bob Marley would call concrete jungle. Instead of trees, you're having a lot of skyscrapers everywhere. So you're bound to have these things. It is really simplistic to simply wake up and write it down to your economic problems. It's because you're not looking deeply enough. It's
more than that.
That's how you now come about it's the economy that is getting people depressed.
Maestro, we need to talk about this tomorrow.
Sure.
We need to talk about this more tomorrow. Let me take some. I'm afraid I can't take more comments. But all the comments on Facebook page, I'm sorry, I can't take more than that. I've seen those, and apologies for that. I have to say this is a news coming from Oyo State right now, as the governor of Oyo State has approved the increment of monthly payment of pension and gratuities of retirees in the state and local government from 456 million naira to 1 billion naira with effect from 25th of July 2024. That is a good development.
It's a good development. It's now, paying it actually. The increment is great.
The payments, the implementation.
But now the payment got to be to pensioners' hands.
We hope to see that happen. Tomorrow we'll be back in the studio to discuss about nothing other than our great nation, Nigeria. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and I'm saying good morning to you. I'm afraid we can't take Maestro's parting shot today. It's so sad. Tomorrow we'll be back again to talk about Nigeria. See you tomorrow. Bye.